The date is May 1961. The location is a makeshift listening post hidden in the outskirts of Turin, Italy. Two brothers, Achille and Giovanni Judica-Cordiglia, are hunched over their equipment. They are amateur radio operators, but they have built something powerful. Something capable of intercepting the secret frequencies of the Soviet space program. They are listening to the sky. And tonight, the sky is screaming. They pick up a signal. It is not a beep. It is not a code. It is a heartbeat. A human heart beating at 140 times per minute. It is the sound of a dying animal trapped in a cage. And then, a voice cuts through the static. A woman's voice, speaking Russian. She is not celebrating a victory. She is not planting a flag. She is begging. Listen, listen, come in, talk to me. I am hot. I am hot. What? 45? 50? Yes, yes, breathing. But oxygen. Oxygen isn't this dangerous? Transmission begins now. 41. This way. Yes, I feel hot. I feel hot. It is all hot. I can see a flame. I can see a flame. I am hot. I am hot. 32, 32, 41. The signal died. The woman vanished. 3 days later, the Soviet Union announced nothing. No launch, no failure, no death. According to the history books, this woman never existed. She was erased, burned up in the atmosphere, and then scrubbed from the records. We are told that space exploration is a triumph of human engineering, a noble journey into the light. But what if the path to the stars is paved with bones? What if the darkness above our heads is hiding secrets so terrible that the governments of Earth have agreed to keep them silent? This is 0 Point Lore, and today we are opening the forbidden files. These are the 5 dark secrets that NASA and the world do not want you to know. We all know the official story. On April 12, 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human being in space. He orbited the Earth and returned a hero. It was a perfect, flawless victory for the Soviet Union. But what if he wasn't the first? What if he was simply the first to survive? The Judica-Cordiglia brothers, the men who heard the burning woman, recorded other things, terrible things. In February 1961, 2 months before Gagarin's flight, the brothers intercepted a transmission that sounded like suffocation. They heard heavy, ragged breathing, and then the slow, rhythmic beating of a heart that eventually just stopped. Some theorists believe this was a failed orbital attempt, a cosmonaut whose capsule malfunctioned, leaving him to slowly asphyxiate in the cold dark, while Moscow simply turned off the radio receivers and pretended he was never there. And then there is the most chilling recording of all. October 1961, a few months after Gagarin, the brothers tracked a spacecraft that had lost control, but it wasn't falling down, it was drifting away. The trajectory was wrong. The retro rockets had failed. Instead of re-entering Earth's atmosphere, the capsule had been kicked out into deep space. The brothers recorded a man's voice. He wasn't screaming. He was terrified. The translation is fragmented, but the message is clear. Conditions growing worse. Why do you not answer? We are going slower. The world will never know about us. That capsule is still out there, a metallic coffin preserving the frozen body of a man whose name we will never know, drifting in the eternal silence between the planets. He is the ultimate lost cosmonaut, a ghost in the machine of history. We move from the tragedies of the Soviets to the secrets of the Americans. The Apollo missions are the most documented events in human history. We have thousands of hours of video, audio, and transcripts. We think we know everything that happened, but there is a place where even NASA cannot see, the far side of the moon. When an Apollo spacecraft passes behind the moon, it enters a radio blackout. For roughly 45 minutes, there is no communication with Houston, no telemetry, just 3 men, alone, cut off from the entire human race. In May 1969, 2 months before Neil Armstrong would land, the crew of Apollo 10 was making a dry run. They orbited the moon. They entered the blackout zone. And there, in the absolute silence, they heard something. It wasn't static. It wasn't interference. It was a sound. A strange, whistling electronic tone. It rose and fell. It sounded organized. The transcripts, which were classified and hidden in the NASA archives for 4 decades, reveal the astronauts' confusion. Eugene Cernan asks, "You hear that? That whistling sound?" Tom Stafford replies, "Sounds like space-type music." John Young adds, "It's really weird music." Space music. That is what they called it. It lasted for almost an hour. It was so distinct, so unsettling, that the astronauts debated whether or not to tell Mission Control. Cernan says, "Shall we tell them about it?" Young replies, "We'd better think about that." Why were they afraid? Because they were test pilots. They were the most rational men on Earth. If they reported hearing alien music behind the moon, NASA would ground them. They would be labeled psychologically unfit. They would lose their chance to walk on the moon. So, they kept quiet. When the tapes were finally released in 2008, NASA offered a safe explanation. They said it was radio interference between the command module and the lunar module. 2 radios close together, creating a feedback loop. It is a plausible theory, but Al Worden, the pilot of Apollo 15, doesn't buy it. He stated publicly, the Apollo 10 crew was very used to the kind of noise that they should be hearing. Logic says that if there was something recorded on there, then there was something there. If it wasn't radio interference, what was it? Was it a natural emission from the moon's core? Or was it a signal? A beacon activated by the presence of our ships? The moon rings like a bell when struck. It whistles when we get close. Is it a rock? Or is it active? We leave the Earth's orbit and travel to the red planet. Mars has 2 moons, Deimos and Phobos. Phobos is a strange object. It is small, lumpy, and orbits impossibly close to Mars. Some astrophysicists have even calculated that its orbit is so unstable it might be hollow. But the real mystery is on the surface. In 1998, the Mars Global Surveyor beamed back images of Phobos, and amidst the craters and the dust, it spotted an anomaly. A shadow. A long, sharp shadow. And casting that shadow was a vertical object. It stands alone in a flat, featureless plane. It is a rectangular, upright slab of rock. It rises nearly 90 meters, nearly 300 feet into the black sky. We call it the Phobos Monolith. This is not a trick of light. It is a physical, three-dimensional structure. And it has caught the attention of the highest levels of the space community. Buzz Aldrin himself, a man who has walked on another world, went on national television and said this: "There is a monolith there.
Who put
a
that
very
there?
unusual structure on this little potato-shaped object that goes around Mars once every 7 hours. When people find out about that, they are going to say, 'Who put that there?' Who, indeed? NASA says it is likely a boulder ejected from an impact that just happened to land upright, a cosmic coin toss. But the Russians seem to think it was something else. In 1989, the Soviet Union launched the Phobos 2 probe. Its mission was to fly close to the moon, hover, and drop 2 landers directly onto the surface, right next to the anomaly. The probe performed perfectly. It got close, it aligned itself, and then, moments before it was supposed to deploy its landers, it vanished. The signal went dead. But before it died, it sent one last photo. It didn't show the moon. It showed a shadow. A thin, elliptical shadow, kilometers long, cast upon the surface of Mars. It wasn't the shadow of the moon. It wasn't the shadow of the probe. Russian Colonel Marina Popovich later claimed that this shadow belonged to a massive, cigar-shaped mothership that was parked next to the moon. Did Phobos 2 malfunction, or was it shot down? Is the monolith a rock, or is it a sentinel? A marker left by a civilization that wanted us to find it, but only when we are ready. September 15, 1991. Space Shuttle Discovery, mission STS-48. The camera is pointed out the window, filming the Earth's horizon at night. It is a peaceful, boring scene. We see the atmosphere glowing, we see faint specks of ice drifting by, and then the laws of physics are broken. Watch closely. A small, glowing object travels slowly across the screen from right to left. NASA says this is a piece of ice, space junk. But then, a flash of light appears near the horizon, and less than a second later, the object reacts. It doesn't drift, it stops, it accelerates, and it makes a hard, sharp turn, shooting away into deep space at incredible speed. 2 seconds after it moves, a streak of energy, a beam, shoots up from the Earth's surface. It passes through the exact point where the object had been just moments before. Ice does not change direction. Ice does not accelerate. Ice does not dodge gunfire. This looks to any military analyst exactly like a target, performing a high-speed evasive maneuver to avoid a ground-based weapon system. Was this the Star Wars program in action? Did we witness a secret US weapon, a directed energy beam, firing at an unidentified flying object in low Earth orbit? NASA's explanation is ice crystals and thruster firings. They claim a thruster on the shuttle fired, pushing the ice away. But the timing is wrong. The flash happens before the movement, and the beam, NASA ignores the beam entirely. The STS-48 footage remains one of the most controversial pieces of video ever recorded in space. It suggests that the orbit of our planet is not a peaceful scientific sanctuary. It is a battlefield. We have looked at our orbit, our moon, our neighbor Mars. But now we must look deeper, much deeper. 700 million light years away lies a nightmare. It is called the Boötes Void, the Great Nothing. In the structure of the universe, galaxies are usually clustered together like a web. But in the direction of the constellation Boötes, there is a hole. It is a sphere of absolute emptiness, nearly 330 million light-years across. To understand the scale, if our Milky Way galaxy was a pea, this void would be the size of the Colosseum. Statistically, a region this size should contain at least 2,000 galaxies, but we have found only 60. Where did the galaxies go? One terrifying theory, proposed by physicists exploring the Kardashev scale, suggests that they didn't disappear. They were switched off. Imagine a civilization so advanced, a Type 3 civilization, that it has conquered not just the planet, not just a star, but entire galaxies. They hunger for energy, so they build Dyson spheres, massive shells around their stars to harvest 100% of the energy. When you encase a star in a shell, it vanishes from the visible spectrum. It goes dark. Is the Boötes Void empty? Or is it full of a civilization that has dimmed the lights across millions of light years? And the most chilling thought? The void is spherical. It looks like it is expanding outward from a center. If this is an empire, it is an empire that is consuming the universe. And one day, its borders might reach us. The lost cosmonauts screaming in the dark, the alien music behind the moon, the monolith waiting on Mars, the war in our orbit, and the empire of shadows consuming the stars. We like to believe that space is a playground, a place for us to plant flags and do science, but the files suggest something else. They suggest that space is a haunted house, and we are just walking through the front door. NASA, Roscosmos, the governments of the world, they look at these anomalies and they see panic. They see truths that would shatter our society. So they redact the files. They lose the tapes. They tell us it is just ice. But we are watching, and we are listening. If you believe that the truth is out there and that we deserve to know it, subscribe to 0 Point Lore. Tell me in the comments, what keeps you awake at night? Is it the thought of dying alone in the void, like the lost cosmonaut? Or is it the thought that the void is not empty? I'll see you in the next investigation.